Yeah. Jesse on Fire recording early today because we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. I woke up and just right off the bat, it was like, oh, here's some gold for you to talk about. Masvidal on Chael Sonnen's channel, interview out of nowhere, and lots to actually pull out of that. Lots and lots to pull out of that about his deal, about why he was on Chael's channel, if you ask me, which I think is pretty obvious to people who understand this thing. And then also, dude, I found a crazy thing on Conor's documentary that I had never seen before, which connects to, you know, the stuff I love. Like I immediately screen recorded it, you know, took the corresponding picture and sent it to Mix Molly because I was like, have you ever seen this? And I will share that with you guys as well in this video. And then ultimately, I'm going to show you a reason why Jesse on Fire is such a cocky prick. Anyway, okay, check this out. Before I do this, because I just got reminded by, you know, the reason I'm going to, you know, I was going to lay out, here's why I'm a cocky prick, which is just going to be a video of my hot ass wife telling me that I should do a giveaway for my subscribers. So we'll do that later. But, yeah, she's like, you have to remember to tell everyone to subscribe and share, like the video. So please, everybody, if you don't mind, well, I mean, I can't tell somebody to subscribe, but I would appreciate it if you subscribe. If you like my content, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. Get a notification when I upload it, and that way you can be like, oh, Jesse on Fire. What's the title of this video? Masvidal Mind Games? Damn. Now I can watch it immediately, and then I can text the rest of my friends, be like, you know, in my MMA group, look at what Jesse on Fire said about Jorge. Who's Jesse on Fire? Are you serious? Are you serious? Anyway, so subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and then please, on this video, comment. You guys, by the way, you guys have been doing excellent work in terms of commenting on these videos. Like, I'm gratitude, thank you guys. Like, I look and I'm like, you know, on TikTok or on my, on actually just YouTube in general, generally it's like if you see a 10% like ratio, like, so, you know, you have whatever, 1,000 views and you have 100 likes, that's pretty good. Anything above that is really good. And then comments or whatever. But you guys are giving me like way over that on likes, but also the comments, like 10%. I'm getting like, you know, if I have 1,500 views, I'm getting like 150 comments before I even like engage. So thank you guys for that very, very much. All right, so let's jump into it. So I wake up and it's Chael has Jorge Masvidal on the show. It's like 4 or 5 a.m. in Abu Dhabi. And I guess Jorge's manager reached out to Chael and was like, hey, Jorge wants to talk. So Chael drove to the studio. I'm going to go ahead and say, pretty sure that Chael's studio is in his house. Okay. He shoots 4 videos a day. like, there's no, like, I'm sure he has a massive, massive house with plenty of room for a small studio. There's no reason to play I need to go to the studio game. Like, I'm just going to say I highly doubt that. Although, you know, in retirement, a man needs to feel like he goes to work. And so it's possible that really helps Chael's like mental, that like he has to go to the studio so he can shoot every day and that's him working. I can completely understand that. As a matter of fact, that might be what's in my future when this is what I do full time, because, you know, just something about going to work feels good versus, you know, going in the other part of the house to go to work. You know what I mean? Anyway, but yeah, so Jorge wanted to talk. So Jorge talked about his deal. He talked about what he was asking for from the UFC, which is completely in line with exactly what I was just talking about in those last couple videos with Jorge, and was totally reasonable. Well, like, Jorge was being completely reasonable. All right. But most of all, I believe the reason he was doing it is because he was like, well, okay, here's exactly what I think is going on. Jorge is like, what can I do to put a message in front of Kamaru Usman right now, right? Because what he said in this video, which I thought was brilliant, is he said, like, Chael asked him about, well, how good a shape he's in, right? And Jorge basically said that he's not in quite as good a shape as he is, or as he was for the Askren and Nate Diaz fight, which is totally possible. Or, you know, the art of war. Why would you tell your opponent that you're in incredible shape, right? Like, you want your opponent to think the opposite, right? So if you're in incredible shape, then you want them to think that you're not. If you're not in incredible shape, then you want them to think that you are. And you always want to confuse your enemy. I mean, it's as simple as that. So you can't trust anything these fighters say. Like Holloway saying he trained over Zoom. Come on. I mean, it's possible, unlikely. But yeah, I mean, so Jorge was talking about the shape that he's in, but the way that he characterized it, he's like, listen, man, if I was fighting against an elite athlete like Darren Till, Ben Askren, someone like that, I'd be concerned about what shape I'm in. But a bum like Usman, I'm not worried about it at all.
All right, so listen, you're going to take on Usman. You're a champ yourself, but you're going to fight for his championship. Yours is not in the line. That's the stage that's set. The odds makers have it at a 3-1 underdog, largely because you didn't have enough notice for the fight. And you said, and I quote, "I don't need a training camp for a bum fight." Do the odds makers have this wrong? Do you know something that they don't?
No. They got it exactly right. It should be like 5-1 if you ask me, I love the odds. Keep it that way, please.
I got to tell you, I don't know if you have access to social media out there, but Ben Askren just put out a very funny piece, and he was talking about that he underestimated you. So if a random fan just asked him, "Hey, Ben, how long did it take you to figure out Masvidal's pretty tough?" And Ben wrote him back, 5 seconds. I mean, come on. Hey, there's some guys that know how to lose.
So I wanted to have that hunger in me and not be in the gym always. But I feel great, man. I'm in good shape. And maybe if I was fighting like Askren, Till, one of these guys, I'd be worried about my condition, these next level athletes. But Usman doesn't cause a concern for me.
And he's so dismissive of Usman. It was amazing. And here's the thing. He for sure was doing it because he knew that Usman would see it, because Chael has probably the biggest day-to-day channel that, if you want to put a message out there that while Usman's sitting in his hotel room doing the same thing as Jorge, cutting weight, he's in quarantine, he knows he's going to just be in his room. Obviously, he's going to be looking for content to watch. If you want to get some content in front of him, Chael is probably your best bet, right? Unless you want to call Ariel. I mean, Ariel or Chael, that's who you're talking to. And so, I think Jorge was doing that very, very intentionally to get that message in front of Usman that he doesn't think he's shit. The other thing is the way he said it, I believe him. I actually believe that he thinks that Usman is weak, And the bottom line is matchups make fights. Matchups make fights. I mean, listen, you didn't hear Jorge say that Darren Till is a bum. You didn't hear him say Nate Diaz is a bum. You heard him say Askren's a bum. And you heard him say Usman's a bum, all right? I genuinely think that Jorge has literally no respect for guys whose base is wrestling if they don't have a strong everything else game. And so I think that this is my read anyway, I think he's confident enough in his ability to scramble and not be held down that if a guy relies on that and that's their main game, that he really genuinely is not concerned about them. He's just not concerned about them at all. He's like, no one's going to be able to hold me down, right? According to Damian Maia, is the best jiu-jitsu in the UFC that Damian Maia's ever faced. That is high praise from probably, top 3 Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners in the entire UFC, regardless of weight class, right? And a good way to read that for anybody who's inexperienced. I'm not, touting myself as some, Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert myself in practice, but I know enough about positions, etc., to know that if you see a guy that's finished, a dozen fights by rear naked choke, that means that they're pretty good. Okay, because that means that the position that they need to get, they have to take a guy's back, and then choke them. It's an expert thing, It's not really once you get in a position and you stick a body triangle on a guy, from behind, and that is something I know how to do. Of course, the guy has to be pretty small because my legs are short, but that's not a benefit in jiu-jitsu. If you're a short guy, you really have to you can't practice it the same as a guy with really long limbs. Long limbs and flexibility are a tremendous advantage. At least in what I've seen. Again, I'm not, if some black belt in jiu-jitsu is watching this and going, "You're an idiot," I will defer to them. But anyway, yeah, so Damian Maia is a stud, but bottom line is I think Jorge Masvidal is being genuine when he says he's not concerned about about Usman. Now, does that have anything to do with what it's going to be like to actually be in the octagon and face him? No. But I do think that Masvidal is very underrated in his mind games. I really do. Like, I think that Conor, who I'm going to talk about next, Conor is like it's much more overt what he's doing. Like, he's much more overt about how he's digging his way into a guy's head, especially given that he adjusts his approach based on who he's fighting and all that stuff. But like, I really believe that this is exactly why Masvidal got on that show, was to tell Usman that he has no respect for his skills whatsoever. So we'll see how that manifests. Like, Usman has traditionally been a pretty mentally tough guy, so we'll see how that goes. The other thing that Jorge talked about was his deal, and he talked about how what he was asking for the UFC was a bigger share of the pay-per-view. And he was like, look, I know what I bring in. And he's right. And he's like, I'm just looking for a bigger chunk of the pay-per-view, which is totally reasonable, right? Like, he even said that he offered them to take no upfront money, like zero, no guarantee whatsoever. And the UFC was like, we can't do that. Like, with the Nevada State Athletic Board, we can't do that. And that's the thing that people don't understand. Let me just, because I know most people understand this now, but every once in a while I'll get a comment that are like I got a comment the other day about, some contract negotiation video that I did. And this guy was like, these guys are not making millions of dollars. This isn't boxing. And it's like, okay, for the 100th time, you guys, when it says, they say, here are the fighters' disclosed salaries, okay? The big number, a big word there is disclosed, okay? Because that is what they're disclosing to the athletic board. Here is their guaranteed money. Here's what's disclosed. That is not representative of their total pay. Basically, in any case, even guys that are like 10-10, they get, they get some small amount of money from the Reebok shit too, I'm pretty sure. But like the pay-per-view guys, the guys who have a piece of the pay-per-view, I mean, that's just not on there. Right? It's not, I mean, like I told you guys this a long time ago. I saw a video where, they were talking about like what guys' total earnings were. And they had Conor McGregor at the top of the list and his total earnings were 13 million. I was like, okay, guy, you're going to make a video on like it's an MMA channel that has 60,000 subscribers and you're going to say some ignorant shit like that? Like, that's just fundamentally laughably inaccurate. I mean, it's like his total disclosed pay is 13 million. Right, among all of his fights. So like, Conor, let's say he gets I don't even know what his disclosed, actually, I wonder what was his disclosed, it's your lucky day, motherfucker. It's too early in the morning to smash things that I own, but let's just keep in mind who owns you. All right, so Conor disclosed salary cowboy. So let's see what he got. $3 million. Okay, so yeah, you guys think Conor made $3 million for the cowboy fight? That's his disclosed amount. That was his base and then pay-per-view, right? So yeah, Jorge said that he got a lot closer to what he was asking for, but he's getting a piece of the pay-per-view. It's as simple as that. I mean, that and that is reasonable. Okay. Now, the way that the UFC has structured their contracts, as I understand it, is that everyone gets a piece of the pay-per-view if you're a belt holder, which is why having the belt is so important. And why, when you look at how guys behave who have the belt, that's why they fight different, okay? Like, people are like, they're protecting the belt. No, they're protecting their pay, motherfucker. Like, it's literally, I mean, you're talking about the difference of millions of dollars, right? Like, if you have the belt versus you don't. So, if you think that you could sit back and land punches and stay safe and not take a lot of chances and retain the belt, I mean, that's a huge incentive to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so like when you see these guys who get the belt and all of a sudden they're winning decisions a lot, which is very common. I mean, very common. George St. Pierre, John Jones, Jose Aldo, when he had the belt. I mean, these guys that like run through a million guys, they go to decisions a lot. And it's because they're protecting their position. They're protecting their belt. Now, it's very rare for a guy to get to a place where they can demand a piece of the pay-per-view when they don't have a belt. And I think that's, and the guys who have been able to negotiate those deals have had to struggle for them, right? Like, they've had to fight for them. Jorge has had to fight for that deal. Nate Diaz had to fight for that deal. Conor McGregor had to fight for his deal. And, you know, and if no, I mean, for no other reason, it's because it's rare for a guy to be able to bring in pay-per-view eyes if he's not the belt holder, and also because it breaks the mold of how UFC does business with their fighters. I mean, it's as simple as that. But it sounds like Jorge has opened that door. If he wasn't getting a piece of the pay-per-view for the Nate Diaz fight, that would shock me because he was the main event, right? I mean, that would be very, very surprising to me. But now, you know, that's what he's doing now. So that's good for him. Awesome for everybody. And I hope he wins so bad, man. I can't even tell you. Do you understand how legendary it'll be if he comes in on 6 days' notice and he knocks out Kamaru Usman? Like, if he knocks him out in the first round, he'll be the biggest star in the UFC. I mean, 100%. 100%. He will be as big a star as Conor if he knocks out Usman. Like, if he knocks him out cold in dramatic fashion, he'll be the biggest star in the UFC. Straight up. And his deal will be enormous. Enormous. Right? And you got to just sit there and think about him in the jungle, a journeyman fighter who saw his future and then made it happen. Right? Just like I like, here's another thing. I need help, right? Like, I'm excellent at one thing. Well, that's not true. That's not true. But what I don't have any like even frame of reference for is, like, I don't even know how to, like, create a podcast. Like, dude, if there's someone who wants to join up and do a podcast with me, let's talk about it, okay? Because I don't have any idea how to do it, number one. Number two, I have a lot of shit going on. I'm busy doing this. Like, someone, if there's someone who we might be a good fit to kind of, do a podcast, I need a partner for that anyway, and someone who could deal with it. And then also, I don't know how to monetize any of this stuff, right? So yeah, I am looking for a partner. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Anywho, so here's the other thing that I saw today, which was so sick. Okay, let me show you a clip real quick. Okay, go.
I mean, I was a little chimp. I was only a kid. Had a chip on my shoulder. Little chimp running around tired all over the place. But I kept showing up, and then became the gorilla.
Whether or not you know where I was going or not, check out this picture now. So that tattoo on Conor's chest is a gorilla eating a man's heart. Okay? Is that not my favorite tattoo in the history of the world now? Like, that tattoo across his entire chest is his definition of his life and who he is. That's his tattoo of, I'm the apex predator. I was the chimp. I kept coming back. I became the gorilla. And the tattoo on his chest is a gorilla eating a man's heart. Like, dude, that is the most gangster shit ever. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Right? Like, honestly. Like, even if you hate Conor, he sees himself as the gorilla, and he has a tattoo of a gorilla eating a man's heart on his chest. Like, come on, man. If you don't think that's cool, then give me a fucking break. But yeah, that is pretty much what I got. Very excited for this weekend. Very excited to see what happens. And I am not planning on doing a fight companion, but only because I'm having one of my best buddies over who I love hanging out with, and his whole family's coming. It'd just be weird. Under normal circumstances, I will, and I will be doing fight companions in the future. So, but the smaller events are easier to start out because, an event like this, like, I'm gonna have people over, man. It is what it is. I know, like, don't worry, Luis, socially distancing, but that family really is super paranoid. Like, it's like, my family's relatively paranoid. They're paranoid. Like, we're not gonna all be making out or anything. So, but yeah, so very excited for this weekend. That's what I got. I'll probably do another video later. And again, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, tell me what you guys think in the comments, and looking for partners and managers, man. I need help because I'm not going to blow this thing up by myself. I mean, maybe I will, but it'll take a lot longer. So I need to do a podcast, and, it's a mystery to me. And last thing, like I said, you guys want to know why, I'm walking around with, a big head on a swivel? Let me show you, because she had an idea for something I should do for you guys. Here you go. This is why I'm always in such a good mood.
I think you should do a giveaway for your subscribers. ask them to help grow your channel, and if you reach whatever number by X date, then raffle off, I don't know, like $500 Amazon gift cards or something.
Yeah, that's my wife in the morning in pajamas, okay? She's the hottest girl on earth. On earth. And it never escapes me. Like, every time I look at her, I'm like, she is like a painting that's walking around. Like, if I painted the absolute perfect female, I'm looking at her every day. Lucky guy. Anyway, so yeah, so I am going to do a raffle of some kind, and I'm just, so I don't know how to do this. Like, if anybody has any ideas, like, basically what I want to do is I'm going to raffle something big for subscribers, but the whole goal is to like build more subscribers. So I don't know, honestly, like, this is kind of a video where I'm asking you guys for help. What do you guys think I should do? Let me know in the comments. But I'm going to start doing giveaways. So that is what it is. That is what it is. So it pays to be a subscriber. So anyway, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, like, all that shit. Love you guys. Peace.